walk through it?
Yeah. I don't know if this can work.
Okay. All right.
All right.
The answer is it worked.
Hey, what's up you guys? This is Rob from A Gay Guy Plays, and today on #confirmed, we're gonna take a break from the slew of Jovian Concord content that I'm either currently working on or have already released. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and put a link down in the description box below to the playlist that contains all of those videos, and I'll toss it somewhere on the screen too if I get a chance. That way you don't miss out on any of that content. Regardless, for now, we're gonna be digging into Devstream 128 to see all of the content that will be coming out after the Jovian Concord. So without ado, let's go ahead and jump on in. Now, kicking things off, this is usually where I put kind of the housekeeping portion where they don't have any acided content. However, this stream was full of a lot of ass, and let me tell you right now, it was nice and juicy. So we're gonna kick things off with Melee stuff. As you guys know, Melee 3.0 is a project that DE is currently working on, which kind of improves the combo system and just Melee in general. Hopefully we'll be seeing some nice buffs with that as well. However, today, one of the new features that they wanted to put on the table, which is cinematic finishers or like hero moments. Now keep in mind, this is something that they're just experimenting with at the moment, but basically whenever you get into a fight with groups of enemies, there is a chance for a designated enemy to spawn, and if you hold them out until the end of the fight, they will have an extended drop table, I guess. So basically what's gonna happen is you're gonna end up finishing this enemy, you'll have this cinematic pan in of you killing them, and then boom, you get extra drops from that. Now, there was a lot of people on Twitter that were like, do we have to like experience this every single time? What's the deal with this? They said on the couch, basically, this is not a feature that you want to turn off because you will get more rewards from it. So, as you guys know, this is currently in an experimental state, so who knows if we'll actually end up seeing it in game. I think it looks cool, and a lot of people worried about it being repetitive, but just knowing that it's going to be a single like designated enemy that's going to be able to deliver this for you, it's a little bit better to know, but I don't really know how important it is to have that in the game. You know what is really important though? Oh yes, that Wukong rework that has been on everybody's lips, and trust me, there's gonna be a lot of people talking about it. So let's start off with some of the base stuff that they were actually saying. Mom, I can't talk to you right now. So Wukong changes are going to introduce radically simplified input systems for his melee combos to allow to get to finishers faster. Now, I was listening to the stream over and over again because I could not make the words out. Now, it almost sounded like they said that there are going to be no finishers for Wukong, but then they said that they were going to allow him to get to finishers faster, so maybe they meant that there are going to be new finishers, not no finishers, but it sounded like no finishers, but I'm thinking they meant new. So that's definitely going to be nice for the Primal Fury combo set. And in addition to all of that, they actually went ahead and started showing us some of his changed kit. And let me tell you right now, there are some people that are not so happy. But let's start off with Hair of the King, which is his new first ability, and will be replacing Iron Jab. So this one actually makes a clone of Wukong that is going to, I guess you would say, kind of like oppose him in the way he fights. So if you're fighting with melee, your clone is going to be fighting with ranged weapons. If you're fighting with ranged weapons, your clone is going to be attacking in with melee weapons. So this is kind of like a nice little decoy ability, kind of like your own Spectre that's going to aid you in battle. The other thing that they actually went ahead and said is whenever you use one of your abilities, it will actually also use that same ability. So if you're in Primal Fury, I believe it's going to do that with you. Same thing goes with Defy. Now, let's go ahead and jump to Defy, which has changed from his third ability. No, it's still his second ability. Cloudwalker was his third ability? Ooh, that was a stinker. Anyway, Defy is no longer going to be a set it and forget it invulnerability. Instead, it's going to be a taunt with an invulnerability period that will deal damage upon its expiration. So all of the damage that you take while you are in the Defy taunt form will basically be released to all surrounding enemies. And supposedly, like I was saying earlier, this also works with your Hair of the King. Now, the whole big thing behind Wukong is the set it and forget it nature, but they did assure us that all of the additional buffs they're going to be doing to his kit are going to make up for it. So my only curiousness is how long is this taunt going to last? Because they were saying, you know, you taunt, you release the damage, and then you can turn on the taunt again in order to get that invulnerability period back. So can't wait to see how that ends up working out. I do feel like it's kind of similar to like Loki with invisibility. It's like you turn on invisibility and then you wait for it to expire and then you turn it back on. Basically, you just recast it after it's worn off. So I'm curious to see how that is all going to play out. Moving along, we have Cloudwalker. They said that this one is going to be much faster and adds a damage buff on exit. Now, when they were talking about the damage buff and kind of like inference from the rest of the conversation they were having, they did mention a crit chance bonus that comes from it. So I'm assuming that the damage buff is going to be that crit chance bonus, but who knows? Maybe they're going to add in other facets as well. And when they were showing this on screen, it did look like it was moving a lot faster, but it also looked like it had a bit of a timer to it, very similar to Wisp's dash, where it was kind of like only gonna let you be in that space for a certain amount of time. Who knows? We'll have to see whenever it all goes live. And last but not least, Primal Fury, which of course ties into the combo system that we were talking about a little bit earlier, which to be honest with you, actually seemed pretty good. Anyway, they said Primal Fury was going to be more damage and it will use a rage meter very similar to Baruch. So I'm assuming that possibly the Defy Taunt, whenever you take damage from that, will help fuel the Primal Fury meter. But of course, this means that there's going to be less reliance on Wukong having toggle abilities draining his energy. So that might switch up his builds a little bit. Now, let's talk about the simplified input system real quickly, because I actually thought that this did not feel so terrible. So straight out of the gate, the way that they're putting it is there's one combo for when you're just holding still. There's another one for when you're moving forward. And they actually went ahead and added in a kind of like if you're zoomed in or blocked. You guys know how like blocking works, but now you pull out your weapon and you zoom in instead. So we have two combos, the standard combo and the moving forward combo. Then they showed off a blocking combo, which is just you sitting there, or the zoomed in combo. And then from that zoomed in, you can also move forward and zoom in. So that's 4 combos all in all, which actually does not seem that bad at all, as many of the combos that we currently already have in game are about 4 or less. So this is definitely going to make it a little bit easier, and I can't wait to see how it all goes in game, and especially if it's new finishers or no finishers. I'd like some clarification. Now, speaking of new for Wukong, is the one thing that we can depend on is, of course, a deluxe skin that comes along with it. Now, when we first saw the images of this, it looked very rocky. It looked almost kind of like molten lava-y. And now when I see it here, it actually looks more robotic-esque. Am I crazy? It looks like a rocky robot. I don't know. I don't dislike it, but of course I want to go ahead and actually be able to play with it, see where the metallics are, because nothing looked very, very shiny. Of course, I believe that these are some of the first in-game renders that we've actually been able to see, but there is progress to be made on it. The only thing that I do want to point out is that the Wukong changes will be shipping with the melee changes. So all of the melee combo changes that are coming out, it's going to be the thing that dictates when Wukong's rework is released. So knowing that that doesn't ship before TennoCon is kind of making me, I'm like, oh, I would have really liked to see that. But looks like we're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that to launch. Now, speaking of waiting for things a little bit longer, of course, we did just get Wisp, and she's pretty damn amazing. I do have to feel like I'm eating a little bit of crow on that one, because I said she wasn't going to be good, and I kind of really like her. But one that we're going to be waiting for a little bit is going to be our next Warframe, aka the Runner Frame. Now, they were actually showing this off on stream. I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't like the model that much. It was just okay. I don't know. Maybe I need to get my hands on it and do a little bit of coloring myself to make me like it a little bit better. But the Runner Frame actually has a couple different features to it. One of the main ones being the fact that he can go into red line mode. Now, when you actually see them kind of use it out in Captura / the plains, there was a little bit of this, I guess you would call it the red line meter or the mock meter. I don't know what they were saying, but basically as you move, or as you know, Rebecca was moving, you could see this little blue line slowly creeping up that meter, and then there's this kind of like red zone. I'm assuming that's where the red line meter is, and that's when you'll be able to use your ultimate to unlock this red line mode. Now, they did show off his first ability, which I believe is Mach Rush. I actually went ahead and got a list of the names of the abilities from the screen, and it's basically this crazy like dash. It looks like this super speed bolty dash, and everything goes really crazy wispy. I'm sorry all of you Volt mains out there, but you're gonna have to delete him for this new runner frame guy. I'm just saying, he looks pretty dope. But his theme is kineticness, and the rest of his abilities are kinetic plating, so it does sound like maybe he gets bonus shielding when he's running around, or maybe he gets more armor or something along those lines, but that's his other ability. We also have energy transfer, which sounds like maybe it's a support ability for the team, or maybe even an energy transfer to yourself. As you guys know, City of Heroes has gone back live, and there's an ability, there's a character there that has the ability to suck the kinetic energy out of other enemies, making them super slow, but making you super fast. So you never know. Maybe it's not transfer to your allies, maybe it's transferring it for your enemies onto you, which would be kind of cool. Then we have that dash that we were talking about, which was Mach Rush, and then his last ability, which is called Red Line. All of these, of course, are placeholder names, but listen, if you have any good ideas as to what they could be, go ahead and leave that down in the comment section below. Now, interestingly enough, we thought that we were only gonna see one new frame on the stream today. However, we saw a second new frame. And this one, I'm gonna be honest with you, kind of brings a little bit of warmth into my heart. I just want to give out hugs left, right, and center, because they showed off the new Oni frame. Alright, so they actually put up a little bit of concept art on the screen, and there was some text that went along with it. So they said the Oni frame has hunger-based powers, soaking up enemy fire, drops, friendly fire, their own ammo, or even enemies themselves, and storing them for charged attacks. So there was a lot of talk about the fact that this Oni frame would be able to consume things, and if you can kind of see it on his stomach, he kind of has this jagged mouth looking thing, which, you know, if my imagination is running wild, we're gonna picture him opening up like a big old Kirby mouth and sucking things in there, and even potentially spitting them back out a la Tom Kench in League of Legends. So I can't wait to see what they do with that one, but it does seem like it's gonna be a little bit further off, because we just got the in-game models for it and the concept art. In addition, in the concept art, they actually talked about the Chisel Knobo. Oh my god, I'm a bad Asian. I can't say things right. But it's a massive club that revs up its spin before a blow. It rotates like a crankshaft. So if you guys are curious about what the weapon is in that art, that's exactly what the description said it was. So a big old club. Now, I'm really excited for this, because one of the big things that they've really been focusing on is producing different body types for the standard Warframes. As you guys know, we had Neja, which is very much like young child. That's his theme. He's the third Lotus Prince, and it's based off of a young child. Then we got Limbo, which was a little bit more wiry. We have a lot of different body types when it comes to the standard female frame. Then most recently we got Hildren, which is definitely far more bulky. So now we get the new Oni frame, which is a bulky but in a different jiggly area, which I'm kind of really into. So I like the fact that DE is mixing it up and showing some representation for our thick boys out there, right? Now, that wasn't the biggest thing that DE actually went ahead and showed off. Yes, we did see 2 new frames, but the other new thing we got to take a look at was, of course, the new war. Now, they didn't give us too many details on it. In fact, they just started showing off some concept art, and I was like, okay, very pretty concept art. It's looking really intense. All of the scenery is looking really pretty. But what I didn't expect was for them to take our little dropship and fly us off into one of the actual areas that we would be seeing in the new war. And it looks pretty good. It just needs like a really nice lighting pass and maybe some like fog or something to make it feel a little bit more eerie, because it's a bit bright right now. It's a little bright, like, dance party. But when you guys take a look at it, it's got this bright red lights. It's looking really sinister. It's looking really wrecked. They said one of the things from it was that the kind of, like, destroyed parts of the area would feed into what's going on with the new war, and that the story would clear it up a little bit more. But I do have to say that from, you know, the very beginnings of it, because I can't imagine that this is going to be the actual version that we see, because we know that D.E. Steve is obsessed with lighting and like all of these different kinds of visual effects to really give the mood of the area. But yeah, it's looking really, really good so far, and it's sounding like, I'm gonna be honest with you, they said that the new war is definitely 2019, but they're a bit slow paced on it right now. So it does not sound like it's going to be something that we see before TennoCon. So this has been over a year in the making, folks. Regardless, this area does seem really, really cool. There's a lot of kind of like trashed little bits. There was a cool moment where they're panning off to the side and you could see kind of like the internal structure of something and all of these little bits and bobs floating. And then we went through this area where it would look like it was like walking under sentient legs, and it kind of like zoomed you off on this kind of like craterous path where everything is just kind of like floating in space. It looks really, really interesting, and to be honest with you, I'm just waiting for it to launch so that we could go ahead and play it and see what more there is, because I do have a feeling that, as I always say, DE's got a trick up their sleeves, and this might be a good one. I'm very curious, because as it stands, Jovian Concord is quite fun. It's not quite difficult, but you never know. The new war might bring a whole nother elements to the battle. Regardless, let me know how you feel about all of the things that you saw on Devstream 128. What was your most favorite part? Are you shocked and appalled at the changes to Defy? Are you in awe of all of the new landscapes that's going to be coming with the new war? And which did you prefer? Mr. Speedster Frame or Mr. Eatster Frame? Regardless, leave all of that down in the comments below, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye! And don't forget to check out that playlist with all of the Jovian Concord content.